As a personal trainer, one of the things I have to do every 2 years is get continuing education credits. This has turned into doing online courses and classes just because we're in such a digital age, but it used to be that I would attend conferences and bang out all of my continuing education in one weekend. These were intense, they were fun, they were exhausting because I participated in way too many classes and not enough lectures, but I learned so much over those weekends. One time I was sitting in a lecture that was run by Pete McCall. Pete is a master trainer, and Pete has actually joined the Grace Health podcast a couple times, but I remember Pete telling a story about when he and his then wife were having children, that he required his parents to strength train because he wanted his parents to be strong enough, mobile enough, and have the physicality that was required to take care of these babies and keep up with the toddlers. At that point, I was past the point of having littles, but I did think to myself, that's a great idea. The reality is, when your children have children, it is wonderful, beautiful joy, I'm told, and a lot of hard work. One of my favorite things that I get to do is just witness one of my clients and her stories about how she is helping her grandchildren. She'll tell me stories about carrying one into daycare on the hip and she's carrying the other in a carrying case. That was several years ago. They now have another sibling, and so she's got 3 grandchildren on one side and she has another one on the other side, and she's always telling me about how grateful she is that she has spent the time together so that she is strong enough to be able to be an active and engaged grandma, and she absolutely is. When we take some front end time to be stronger, to be mobile, then what we receive is more presence and more memories with our child. And if you'll notice, I am trying hard not to use the word grandma or grandmother, because what I am hearing women say is they don't feel old enough to be a grandma. They do not want that name, and they really don't want a slower and less strong body playing into that stereotype. Now, full disclosure, I'm not in this stage. I don't expect to be in this stage for a while, but I'm starting to see women my age become someone who has a child who has children. Can I just use the word grandma, by the way? Can I just say that? If you don't like it, I'm sorry, but we're just for the sake of simplicity, we're going to use the word grandma in this title. The reality is we're just trying to keep up with the littles. No more keeping up with Joneses, because we don't really care what the Joneses think of us anymore, but we do want to keep up with our littles. In this episode, we're going to be talking about training for the quote, grand stage of life. And I am trying hard not to use their word grandma. So give me a little bit of credit if that word kind of grates on you a little bit. In this episode, I'm going to cover 6 key training areas that if you are wanting to keep up with your littles, these would be wonderful for you to include either as a workout or in addition to your workout. I did do a YouTube video, a 10-minute YouTube video that incorporates a lot of these. If you don't know where to begin, or if you get a little confused by some of the things that I am saying, then go check that out. It's just 10 minutes long. And of course, you can certainly do this workout if you don't have littles you're trying to keep up with. This is just a good overall workout. It's just 10 minutes. I'm really trying to increase the amount of 10-minute videos that I have on my YouTube channel. So if you are watching on YouTube, make sure that you're subscribing so you don't miss any of those. And if you're interested in it, just go over to YouTube, type in @AmyConnell and subscribe so that way you can get those 10-minute videos. I'll also share another way for you to get those videos without going directly to YouTube at the end of this episode. But let's go ahead and dive into these key training areas if you are wanting to keep up with your littles and be strong and mobile for them. Number 1 is balance training. Most of the work that we do in the gym is equal balance. So we are squatting, we are deadlifting, we are chest pressing, we are pulling, we are doing things that we're using either both of our legs or both of our arms to do. We're kind of balanced somewhere within our core region. This is wonderful. This is great. I do not discourage this, to be very clear. However, if we're wanting to train in order to pick up toys on the floor. Maybe be tripped by toys on the floor and try to catch ourselves, where we're taking a baby and putting the baby over the crib onto the mattress, and you're going to be kind of off balance there because you're leaning forward. That can be pretty hard sometimes. So we want to train our balance. As we've discussed in the past, as we get older, our balance does decline because the neuroreceptors in our feet, in our hands are declining and they're not firing as fast. So we want to train that balance. So how can you do this? How can you incorporate this? One is dynamic kicks, and that's going to be where you're just standing on one foot and very gently just kicking one foot forward and back, forward and back. Kind of envision a pendulum of your foot going forward and back. If you can, do that without holding on to anything. If you need assistance, by all means, grab assistance. I'll share a couple ideas with ways to get assistance while still challenging you in just a second, but do those dynamic kicks. Maybe you just stand on one leg. One really quick, easy pro tip I like to give is stand on one leg when you are brushing your teeth in the morning and stand on the other leg when you are brushing your teeth in the afternoon. It's funny, I mentioned this years and years ago, and one of my neighborhood friends invited me to be on her podcast. And I got to give you a shout out, Lisa Jones, on your Of Sound Mind and Spirit podcast. You were saying, Lisa, that you started doing that little balance training with the toothbrush in the morning and in the evening, and that's just something that you do now. I love to hear people making very small changes in their routines to help make their bodies stronger, more mobile, more balanced, whatever it is. Another thing you can do when you are raising one foot is just to reach one arm over and back. Anything that will take the center of your gravity over to the other side and back. And by the way, whenever you're doing balance work, I do recommend that you try to keep your hips stable and square, meaning that it's very easy if we're balancing on one foot to kind of sit into that, which will take our hips more in a diagonal motion rather than side to side. We want to keep those side to side because that is what will engage your core and that's what will make your body react more. But with those balance reaches, stand on one foot and take your arm over, and you can alternate with one arm over. You can rotate side to side. Just do anything to try and take your center of gravity out of the normal state that it's in. The other thing that can help with your balance, believe it or not, is really heavy lifting. And if heavy lifting is confusing to you or overwhelming, go listen to the episode, What Lifting Heavy Really Means for Women Over 40. That's season 24, episode 2, that will talk about lifting heavy and what that means. But basically, when we are lifting between like 2 and 6 reps, in a heavy enough state that that's all we can do, then that will activate the fast twitch fibers that will also turn on when we are trying to balance, when we are trying to respond quickly. So believe it or not, lifting heavy can actually help your balance. If you need help when you're first starting out with doing balance training, then of course, get some help. I will have clients reach out and put their hands on a wall. I like to have them use the melt roller. So the melt roller is my very favorite roller. I have no affiliation with it except that I'm an Amazon affiliate and I love this thing. But when you press on it, it will move a little bit, but not too much. So it kind of keeps you accountable more so than a regular foam roller. Another pro tip is, can you use the bottom of the palm of your hand rather than your fingertips? We have receptors in both our palm of our hand, of course, and our fingers. However, the density of our receptors in our fingers are significantly higher than in the palm of your hand. You have about 241 units per square centimeter in each one of your fingers, as opposed to 58 units per square centimeter in the palm of your hand. If you use the palm of your hand, then your body is not going to respond as quickly because it doesn't have as many receptors. So that makes it a little harder. If you need to use your fingers, by all means, use your fingers. But I want you to gradually start challenging yourself and maybe go to your palm, maybe just go to one finger or something like that. Just keep doing things to challenge your balance. Number two is offset training, otherwise known as unilateral work in the training world. This is when we are doing things with just one arm or just one leg. Why? Because when we have littles, we're often holding a baby. I'm right-handed, so I would hold my little on my left side and do all of the things that I needed to do in life with my right hand. That is unilateral work. Maybe you have something in one hand, you're carrying something in one hand, and you're holding a little finger in the other hand. Maybe you are carrying the baby carrier and you're just doing that with one arm. So that is like ultimate unilateral training, ultimate offset training. This is life. Our real life is uneven. Very rarely does real life mimic the very controlled motions. Now, when we do those motions, of course, we are strengthening our muscles so we can do the unilateral. But if you are specifically training with the thought of, I'm going to be keeping up with my littles, then your offset training, your unilateral work would be really helpful to do. What are some things that we can do with this? Well, one is grab a dumbbell, a relatively heavy dumbbell, and just put it in one arm and walk up and down, up and down. Maybe you can walk the length of the room 2 or 3 times. When you do that, I want your shoulders to be square as well as your hips, like I talked about earlier. So I don't want you to be holding one weight or one dumbbell so heavy, and kettlebells work as well, of course, that you're leaning over. Keep everything upright, and you're going to notice your core in the opposite side really turning on and really working. That's when you know it's working. You can also do this with a chest press. Just do one arm, pushing it up and down. You'll notice a huge difference. You can do single leg squats or single leg RDLs, even doing step ups. Get a box with the height that works for you. That can be anywhere between 6 and 12, maybe even 18 inches, and step up on that box, then step back down. Do it again, step up, step back. But we're doing one leg at a time, and that helps train one side. And then of course, do the other. Don't just train one side. You got to do both of them, but do both of them separately. Number 3 is grip strength. Grip strength is not only important with our littles, but it's also important for our longevity. Multiple research findings have shown that weaker grip strength is associated with an increased risk of mortality. So even if you are not concerned about littles and your grip strength for that, then do it for your longevity. Going back to the baby carrier, that is going to require some grip strength. Navigating all of the baby gear that is out there. I know why they make it so difficult, so that way it's safe for the babies, but it's really hard to do. I had just like a really basic stroller that I could put my baby carrier in when my kids were little, so it's probably obsolete now. But it was like a 3-part, like you got to push here, pull here, step here in order to close up the stroller in order to put it in the trunk or in the back of the vehicle. We've got to have the dexterity and the strength in our hands to be able to do this kind of stuff, especially when like you have a crying baby in the background or you have a toddler pitching a fit. Let's make sure that we are able to hold on and to grasp everything that we need to be able to do. Anytime you are holding very heavy weights down where the gravity is pulling those weights down and you're holding on to it, that's going to help train your grip strength. One more reason to lift as heavy as your body is able to. Hold on to those heavy dumbbells while you are squatting. The other thing that I like to remind people of is anytime you are pulling, then you are also increasing that grip strength because you have resistance going against your hand. In my Strong and Vibrant at Home, we do a lot of pulling. Number 1, because it's so important for our spinal health, but also I'm just kind of sneaking in the whole grip strength thing in there. Because if you are pulling on a handle a lot, then yeah, that's going to be hard on the hands, especially if you're holding it firmly and not just kind of like letting it go at the very end of your fingers. I've shared this on the show before and I can't even remember when it was, but I remember growing up and my dad had these like grippers to increase his grip strength. And it was super simple. It was just like 2 handles and it had like a little circle and you just squeezed it. And go Dad, because you were way ahead of your time. I got online on Amazon just to see what was out there, and there are absolutely things out there. Honestly, I don't even have a recommendation. Just get on Amazon, look for something that looks reasonable to you, that will meet your strength in your hands where you need it and get something and try it. It does not need to be a lot of money, but just do something if you think that would be a good way to help increase your grip strength, then go for it and just keep it by your desk. Keep it by the couch when you're watching Netflix at night. Just add that in, a few squeezes at a time. We don't need to get super technical about this, but just do something where you are increasing the strength in your hand. Number 4, you got to be able to get up and down off the floor. I know that it is possible to tend to babies and to littles without getting on the floor, but I don't want that for you. And I don't think you want that either. I want you to be able to be down and putting the Legos together with your grandchildren. Oh, I'm not supposed to say grandchildren, with your littles. Excuse me. I want you to be able to be like right at their eye level. That's where the memories are made. And I want you to be confident that once you're down there, you can get up relatively easily, and especially without making those groaning noises that your littles are going to make fun of you or might make fun of you for later. The best way I can tell you to get better at getting up and down off the floor is to get down on the floor and then get back up. Like, just practice doing that. Get your balance right. Of course, doing things like squats and lunges and Romanian deadlifts or hinging, those are all going to help with that. But also just mimic the thing that you want to be able to do, which is get down on the floor and get up. This is one of those things that I have included in my 10-minute video. And whether or not you keep up with my pace, I still want you doing that if at all possible. And remember, there's progression with this. Start by putting your hand on an ottoman or something like that to help you get up. As you do it more, you will get better at it. Then maybe you move to your hands are on your thighs. And then maybe you can just try and get up without your hands at all, because who knows, maybe you'll need to be getting up off the floor while holding someone. So train yourself to get comfortable with getting not only down on the floor, but up off the floor. If you want to stay in your kids' world, you've got to get down with them. And then you have to get up with them, because they're not going to be down there for very long. I mean, kids don't stay still for very long. Number 5 is incorporate functional movements into your movement rhythm. Even if you do not formally strength train very often, and I really want you to about 2 to 3 times a week, but even if you were just walking and say, like, walking is all I can do right now, can you do 5 squats before? 10 squats before? Can you maybe get on your knees or get on the wall and do some push-ups? And I did an episode on this that I'll link in the comments, but it's all on the functional movements. There's 6 main functional movements. It's push, pull, squat, hinge, single leg, which goes to that offset training. And then depending on who you follow, it's either going to be rotational or carry. So I kind of put those, it's like rotational and or a carry, but most people will agree that there are 6 main functional movements, and almost everybody agrees on those 5: push, pull, squat, hinge, and single leg. These functional movements are the things that mimic real life. You can go to the gym and you can pick up some dumbbells and you can do some biceps curls all you want. And yes, that actually might be somewhat helpful in like carrying babies, but that's not as comprehensive as doing these 5 to 6 functional movements. If you work out with me in any capacity, whether it is doing these 10-minute videos on YouTube, or if you participate in my Strong and Vibrant at Home online course, then you get functional movements. That's all I do, possibly to a fault. Like, I don't ever do biceps curls. I sometimes do tricep stuff. I don't do the really small movements because I don't want to take the time to do all of that. That's just a lot of time in the gym, and I don't want to spend that much time in it. So I do the functional movements and I get the bulk of what I need in those movements. So if you're like, I don't know, I don't get the functional movements, just stick with me. Consider checking out Strong and Vibrant at Home. As this episode is released, we are in the middle of a cycle. However, I will be taking this so that it's available at any time, whenever you want it, very soon. So you can go to gracedhealth.com/waitlist to be notified when Strong and Vibrant is ready to go, and you can purchase it whenever you want and just do it whenever you want. Finally, number 6 is endurance holds. My husband's family, all 15 of us in 2015, took a trip to Disney World, and we had one of those, Disney is all about magical, have a magic day, have a magic ride, have a magic whatever. We went and spent a very tiring and magical day at the Magic Kingdom. And at the end of the day, there were fireworks. My sister-in-law had 3 kids, and they were back to back to back. 1 came to her through adoption, 2 came from her womb. And so she had, you guys get this, 3 kids in 17 months. What? It was crazy. So it was like total divide and conquer. I ended up holding one of them who was probably 4-ish at the time, through the fireworks, in which he fell asleep, and then walking from the fireworks to the shuttle, from the shuttle to the hotel that we were staying at. And I was carrying this kid the entire time. If that is not endurance work, I don't know what is. Holding a sleeping toddler, endurance work, carrying them through the parking lots, through the times that they just will not be in the grocery cart or will not be whatever. And so it's like, hold you, have you ever had the little kids like look up at you and go, hold you? It's like that. It's all of the hold you moments. That is endurance work. How do we train for that? We do things for longer periods of time. Those are going to be things like holding your planks. If you can do squats, then doing some wall sits, maybe doing those carry holds. Where you're getting the dumbbells and you are just walking, holding those dumbbells. In my 10-minute video, one thing I do is we will hold one arm in an isometric hold while we are pulling with the other arm. So we are getting unilateral work. We are getting grip strength. We are getting endurance. Yes, I like to check a lot of boxes at one time when I'm working out because I am all about efficiency. Practicing holding things for a long period of time will pay off when you have to hold your little one for a long period of time. I want to be clear though, that does not mean that you need to practice holding something for 30 minutes right off the bat. Let's just practice for 20 seconds. How does 20 seconds feel? Is it too much? Then go down to 10 seconds. Is it too little? Then go up to 30 seconds and gradually increase. Don't burn yourself out and don't hurt yourself trying to hold something for too long. And that goes for anything that I say. Like gradually work up to what you were trying to get to, not going into what you want to be or where you used to be or where you think you should be. Just meet yourself where you are, do what you can. And if you keep showing up for yourself, you will get stronger. You will be able to hold longer. You will get better, but start where you are. This is the point of an episode where you're probably waiting for me to tell you exactly what to do and how often to do it. I'm not going to do that because I don't know what your rhythms are. That is something that we would talk about in one-on-one coaching, which is available, and I will put that in the show notes, but I can't tell you what to do when it's like me to a lot of you. I will say it is helpful to incorporate these types of movements 2 to 3 times a week, along with your functional movements. And as we've talked about, we can do a lot of these at once. We can multitask with our different types of movements. I want you to focus on control and quality and form over how many you do. And I want you to be thinking about how you can incorporate this into your day-to-day rhythms. A lot of these do not have to be movements you only do at the gym or only do when you're working out. These are things that you can do in your day-to-day life as you're going about, because that's what living is anyway. And that's what life looks like when we have littles in our life. So now that you know these 6 elements, I want you to think about how you can kind of work those into your life rather than just doing something. If you're wanting something to do, then go do that 10-minute video, but you're going to get good at that if you do it several times. And then it's time to mix things up. And I will be, for the short term at least, continuing to do more of these 10-minute videos once a week. So you can just add on to that. They may not all check all of the boxes for keeping up with your littles with these 6 things, but they will strengthen your body so that you can become as strong as you are wanting to be for the people who you want to show up for. And I can't let you go without reminding you that if you end up spending a weekend, a long weekend, a week with the littles in your life, and they are your grandchildren, then I want you to plan in some time when you get back to take things down a notch. If it has been an intense weekend, if it has been a physically demanding weekend, and probably it has, then it's okay and it is recommended by me to take it down. Do some yoga, do some gentle walking, do some mobility. You can do some movement, but at a lower intensity than what you were normally doing. If Monday is always a high intensity day for you, but you're coming off 5 days of watching your grandkids, skip the high intensity. Just go for a walk or stretch or do yoga, or just, you don't even have to do anything. Just take it easy. I do think gentle movement is helpful in recovery, and it's not just think, it's like that's what the science is, but you don't have to do what you normally do because what the weekend that you just had was not a normal weekend. Don't forget to check out that 10-minute video. And if you are wanting to check out Strong and Vibrant at home, just go to gracedhealth.com/strongandvibrant. And over there, you can join the wait list and be notified when it is available for you to do on your own whenever you are wanting. Like I said at the beginning, when you subscribe on YouTube, then you will get these workout videos in your feed when they are released. However, if you want to be notified in a different way, then what I invite you to do is sign up for my Nourishing Notes newsletter. I will be putting these in. It's just every other week, and I will let you know what the video is, why it's helpful to you, so you can go and just kind of have that little nudge. I know a lot of people are like, just send it to me in my email because otherwise I'm not on YouTube that much or whatever. And you'll just get a little piece of delight, is my hope, that lands in your inbox. And it is ways to nourish your body, your mind, and your spirit. You can subscribe to that over at gracedhealth.com/nourishing-notes. All of these things will be in the show notes. Okay, that's all for today. Go out there and have a graced day.